I'd like to call the meeting to order and stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Moving on to the GC Pride Awards.
Good evening, President Potensky and members of the board. I am very excited to talk a little bit about our GC Pride recipients from the middle school. I knew exactly who should get it, and I think I even identified it several weeks ago. And made sure that they could come. I want to start with Dorothy Brennis. Dorothy Brennis is a 6th grade science teacher here in the middle school in the Red Wings community. And when I think about Dorothy, COVID changed everything about her classroom. She was always problem-based. She always did inquiry-based experiments, all those wonderful things in her classroom. But COVID added more to it. Student choice, opportunities, multiple opportunities to show success or that they learned something, not just one and done. She also really has learned the value and the benefit of social emotional learning. She's been an advocate for it, and anyone who has been near Mrs. Brennis knows that because she talks about it all the time. She takes every workshop and professional development that she can, and she engaged in that this summer so that she could come back with science and be doing it in a way that's calm and soothing and not, crazy out there, but still problem-based, inquiry-based. She helps the students find the joy in learning. I just want to give you a small example of it. I don't even know if I told her this story. So my daughter is in her class, and my daughter was home quarantined, and there was a project that they had to do. It was for astronomy, and they had to pick amongst all these different things. PowerPoint, poster, and then other things like puppet show, songs, dance, and so forth. Well, I'm thinking, Michaela, PowerPoint, easy, done. She looks at me and she goes, Mom, no, I want to do a puppet show. What? A puppet show? There's only one of you. Well, you're going to have to be one of the characters. Okay. And then I watched my daughter get so excited. She loves music, loves dance, loves acting. She came to life with that project. Like, she thought of every little detail to have whatever she was going to do for this project. And I became a voice. And I use that as an example because teachers change. They change throughout their career. Things impact them in different ways. And while I know that Mrs. Brennis was always a stellar teacher, that social emotional piece and helping students find the joy in what they're learning has been her emphasis. She makes sure that she takes time in every class to talk with the kids. Not talk to the kids, not talk about content, but ask how they're doing, genuinely how they're doing. And that is a huge value of hers. So she has this quote at the bottom of her email. And it says, when I came to accept that everyone I teach matters more than anything I teach, the experience changed for everyone. So congratulations, Mrs. Prentice. Shade, COVID, I don't know. And Mrs. Prentice brought with her this evening, she was going to bring her sister. She also brought her husband along, so she was very excited to be a recipient of this award. The next two kind of go together, although they're very different people. So I want to honor Mrs. Tanya Fowler. She is our nurse here at the middle school. And Mrs. Karen Jefferson, who is our health aide here at the middle school. Very different people. Couldn't be more different. But I know that you know that the job of the nurse and the health aide has changed drastically since COVID. Like, I know you know that. But I want to paint a picture from before COVID to now. So prior to COVID, there were someone's fainted in room 5, and we go there, and there's an injury in PE, and we go there, or they go there. We follow after. And then there were the kids who just popped in. Do you have any lotion? Can I have a cough drop? They didn't need the lotion. They didn't need the cough drop. What they needed were these two. So now, let's fast forward to now. Everything about that health office has changed to the point where if there's anybody in there, you already know this problem because somebody's in there. And so when I think about the things that have changed, between the two of them, trying to get vaccination card status on every employee in the building, doing staff testing for those unvaccinated, student random testing, quarantine, monitoring the daily quarantine list. It has since changed now that we have test to stay, but you're still monitoring it. And you're making sure those students come down and the list gets long. Then there's, the test to stay, because if they're gonna stay and they're quarantined, they come in and they have to get tested in the morning. How about a positive case? Positive case shows up, and what do? And then all the systems go into play about anyone who might have been exposed to that student. And then we have the phone calls to parents. They're not fun when you have to tell a parent now their child is quarantined or have to test to stay. And they've taken the brunt of that's all. They really take the brunt of the blow when they have to call the parents. This is on top of their physicals that they have to do data entry on, their hearing tests. I had my test the other day, I'm okay. And all of that stuff. And I stop in every day, sometimes several times. If I don't get there, I feel like a part of me is missing. And I go in to just see how they're doing. Because I know there's nothing I can do, right? There's nothing that I can really do. But that's where these two different personalities come into play. Mrs. Jefferson, she exemplifies the quote, "When you can't find the sunshine, be the sunshine." And Mrs. Fowler, she knows that this too shall pass, because tough times never last, but tough people do. And she bears it up. And the combination between the two is what has made this work. So I'm going to share another little story that they told me about my daughter, because what else, right? So my daughter tours the middle school. I'm going to get the story wrong, but she tours the middle school in the spring, and she stops into the health office, And they just pour over every kid that comes in there. So Michaela comes home and she's so excited about the health office. Like, doesn't care about the rest of the school, the health office. So in the beginning of the school year, like every parent, sorry, whatever you do, Michaela, don't go to the health office. Sorry. But I find out she stopped down at the health office. Oh, I'm really in pain. What's wrong, Michaela? What do you have? Oh, do you see this? Do you see this? I have this cut. Karen goes, where? Where is it? Right there. Can't you see it? Oh, yeah, we see it. We'll get a Band-Aid. I get a Band-Aid. Nothing was there. But I paint that picture because what she was seeking was the love and the attention that she received and every student received from these two in June when they visited. Because that was a place where kids can go. That was a place that was safe. And so they are amazing, and it has been hard, but they really make it through the day. And so for that, they are honored with the GC Pride Award. And this evening, Miss Fowler has her husband who came with her, and Mrs. Jefferson has her son and her grandson who came. So congratulations.
Okay, so I'm next. President Potensky, Superintendent Daly, Board of Education, thank you for your time this evening. I'm honored tonight to recognize and celebrate Kathy Phillips, who's here tonight with her husband Steve. Kathy is preparing for her retirement to start at the end of Thursday, so we are really up against it here. I've had the privilege of working with Kathy for the last 5.5 years. We started together at the exact same time. And I can't say enough about Kathy and her work ethic. We came into an office that had changed over the number of years, and I think I'm a little biased, but I'll say I think we've steadied things. Kathy has played an integral role in creating systems and efficiencies and a culture that people come into every day. Students, adults, community members, people are always walking through that door. Kathy is the front lines of our office, and I can't thank Kathy enough. I don't want to get upset in a good way. But when I think of Kathy, I think of the Spartan way. I think of what it means to be a Spartan. Her leadership, I tell everybody, I think her position is the hardest job in any district. Her hard work, her compassion for our students, for our community, is demonstrated every day. The responsibilities she takes on, the leadership roles that she takes over, is amazing to watch, and she does it with respect every day for anybody she comes in contact with. So I'm honored to recognize Kathy tonight with the GC Pride Award, and I will say I have an additional little thing that I brought. It is the coveted Monroe County Public School Athletic Conference Lifetime Pass Award. So Kathy will hopefully be attending games for decades on end, and it does admit to Steve if she decides to bring you. So we'll save that for another time, but I'm looking forward to seeing her at games hopefully. But this isn't the end for Kathy with H. Skyline. She is going to become a full-time grandmother. She already is a grandmother, but she won't have the burden of me texting and calling and people needing something from her at all times of the day. So I'm excited and happy for her. I'm sad and anxious, but at the end of the day, it's been fabulous working with Kathy. I couldn't be more thankful. So thank you, Kathy. Thank you.
Okay, agenda changes, Superintendent Daly.
Personnel, sir.
Personnel. Moving on to board president comments. Things I've heard this evening: compassion, caring, joy, love, respect, and an occasional golden ticket to go see athletic events. Make me reflect and be thankful for each and every one of you, for the time you spend with our students to create an environment where they can thrive, learn, and be respected. As we go into the holiday season, I want to thank you for all your effort, and I hope that you have the time to spend with your family, to create that same environment with them, to turn off your cell phone. Don't get into Facebook, don't watch YouTube, and actually interact, give a hug, give some attention, speak, listen to your family, and enjoy the time together. So, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you all very much. Moving on to points of interest. Yes, Ms. Coffey.
I had the opportunity to enjoy the second grade gingerbread house day at Brasser, and it was wonderful with so many kids and adults there and lots of sugar. But it was a wonderful experience.
Other points of interest? Yes, Ms. Littlewood?
Yes, I had the opportunity to attend a band concert at Culver, and I just wanted to say thank you to all the staff for putting it together, and especially the staff that had the help in the percussion section. So thank you to them, and I just appreciate the support and being able to go over.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Other points of interest? Hearing none. Moving on. Reports of meetings.
The information exchange till next month, so.
Okay, looks like we're down for the holidays. Moving on to visitor comments. We do have a visitor comment. The Gage-Charlevoix Central School District Board of Education invites public comment at this time. Please limit your comment to 3 minutes or less. We ask that each individual state their name, address prior to comments, and utilize the podium microphone to address the board. Although the board will not respond directly to individual comments at this time, items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration for future response or action. In order to comply with the laws related to confidentiality, we ask that issues related to a specific school district personnel or students be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools privately. The board reserves the right to terminate a speaker's comments if his or her comments are in excess of 3 minutes, repetitive, or are not appropriate for discussion in an open public forum. And I do want to reiterate, we do want to hold to the 3-minute time. If that time is called and we ask you to wrap up, please do. We don't want to cut you off, but if you have other things that are not said, please email the board. We will read your response in its entirety. But we do want to hold you to the 3-minute time for everybody to give everybody equal opportunity to speak. Charles Johnson.
I'm not going to say anything, but you guys have a Merry Christmas, and I'll bother you guys next month.
Okay.
You as well.
Bye.
Thank you. Middle school presentation.
Good evening again. Are you going, I don't have to click. Okay, that first thing. I talked too much with it was worth it. So I wanted to spend time this evening, really, I think I stole this line from Superintendent Daly at our summer workshop, I think it might have been there, but that it impacted all aspects of our school community. And with it, there were a lot of learning experiences that are good that we have taken away. And so what I'd like to share with you is how this fall, in advance, I was going to show you a clip from Apollo 13, it's really cool, but all right. So what I wanted to share with you is that we are really working on establishing a new norm. It's not business as usual as it was in the past. It's really about redefining what we do as teachers, what we do as human beings. And our emphasis is not just about instruction. It is, and that is important, but it's also about addressing social emotional needs, which also impact behavior. So somebody coined the term unfinished learning, and I'd like to talk about just a few of the things this evening that we have been focusing on this fall, so that you have an idea of how the money is being spent. One of the first things that happened was teachers really prioritized their standards over the summer. One example, let's talk about math. Last year, not a lot of time was spent. Geometry is fed into like 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, like a little bit. But because of our sequences and how we do that, that was not the priority last year. So as we were working through all the different models, that was the first thing to go. So this summer, as our teachers met and they talked to our 5th grade teachers, our 6th, all the ones behind and above, they realized, hey, you know what, we gotta make sure we get that in. So they really looked at their standards and revamped their curriculum based on the needs of our students and based on the teachers. And because we have curriculum that really, especially in math, is sequenced, it really helped our teachers to be able to modify and adjust because we weren't all over the place. Another example is ELA. ELA spent time this summer and said, all right, there are a lot of standards here. Which ones are the power standards? Which are the ones that we're going to get a bang for the buck? That's really going to make the difference for these kids as time goes on. And they identified those. And you see that in every single class all the time and not just ELA. So those were gains. And I'm not just talking about what came out of it, but the collaboration was the game. We implemented Learning Center. Learning Center is a brand new concept that is a general ed program, not a special ed program. We have resource room for special ed. Learning Center came out of some of our additional funds that we had, where we started to look at some of the gaps in the learning, the unfinished learning, and said, how can we support kids this year as we go through that are impacted by a positive COVID test or the quarantine before test to stay? How can we do that? Well, Learning Center gives us the opportunity to put kids, it's an RTI intervention, we can put kids into there on a short-term basis. Maybe somebody's coming back from 2 weeks out of COVID and they can jump into this model and that teacher can work with them constantly to help them get caught up. Because that overwhelming feeling, if they did not have somebody at home to help guide them through that, is really great and could do them in for the rest of the year. So Learning Center has been wonderful. We started the year without a staff member, but we were able to put pieces in. You recently approved Shayna, who will be our Learning Center teacher starting in January. The other piece that has really been great is the paper. And I think the best feature of paper is the fact that it's somebody who's willing to be there when everybody else isn't. And so I want to go to the next slide. And this was actually done actually before tonight, so it doesn't include December 21st in it. It goes to December 9th. But what this shows you is 826 are how many students we have. 402 is the students with activity that are doing something relative to it. It's now actually a little bit more than half. The sessions that are started, and then essays. Look at that. Our English teachers have introduced this as a way for them, the students, to get feedback before they turn it in. So they are submitting it 1 time, 2 times, sometimes 3 times, making changes each time. Some of the students do it so it says first try, second try, third try, which really helps the tutor on the other end. So yeah, is it every student? No, there's never going to be everybody. But what we have here is that it is working. They don't give answers, they don't tell them how to write it, they ask questions. So it does not mean just because somebody submits something to paper that they're going to get 100. That doesn't mean that. There's work to be done and they make them think. I sat next to a student in the math class, and this teacher was introducing paper. It had been introduced to everybody in social studies class, but the teacher was doing it for the first time. And the student was sitting, it was an English class, and the student sitting next to me goes, oh, I love this. And I said, wow. He goes, I love it. Let me show you. And I'm sitting next to the teacher's talking, he opens up paper, and he shows me all the times that he had used it. And then he says, my favorite tutor is blah, blah, blah. As if, like, they're on a first name basis because he uses it so many times at probably about the same hour that he recognizes different tutors. So he used it mostly for math class. So I wanted to share this because, we just started, and to have half our students actively using it is a really good thing. It's only December. We started at the beginning of November, actually maybe Veterans Day. So I think that data speaks for itself in terms of unfinished learning and supports that we can give our kids. On this slide, the other thing that we have added is academic tutoring in literacy and math after school. We already have AIS, which is number 5 up there, during the school day for literacy and math. But there are some kids who can't get it into their schedule because they're in band or chorus and they want those things, and those things are very important to them. And or they have nothing else that they could not take. There are some kids who got in one but not the other, just because there's no open room in the schedule. So we have tutors with additional funds. We were able to get some tutors in literacy and math that were able to stay after school twice a week with kids for a 10-week period of time. So it started right after Thanksgiving, by the time you were able to get it up and going, and these are kids that either couldn't get it into their schedule or couldn't take band or chorus because of AIS, and AIS was chosen by the family, or kids who were monitor, which is a status, the lowest status of AIS, meaning they're just being watched over, who may need the boost because of COVID. So while it's not impacting the whole building and not every student could be invited, I didn't have enough tutors, but I thought it was pretty significant that we're able to run this, and we haven't been able to do that before. So if you look at the bottom, it just shows you, we are talking about academics and the unfinished learning. I compared September 2019 to September 2021 in terms of our iReady data, which is our diagnostic tool. And you can see, especially literacy, 50% of our students came in 2 or more grade levels below. They started the year that way. This is whole school data, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We have a significant number of students who typically, what was that, 30, 43% in 2019. But now it's 50, and it's more. And math is more. So it just goes to show, as we think about unfinished learning, these pieces are significant, they are needed, and they are being utilized. Then the social emotional piece. Thank you for the additional social worker that we have here now in our middle school. The social emotional needs of our students has been tremendous this year. I probably can't even explain how tremendous it's been. It shows up in a lot of different ways. It shows up on our Aristotle reports when we find out what students are Googling at home. It shows up in paper, the tutoring company, when a tutor alerts me to something that a student might be saying in a text conversation with the tutor. So our students are using these places as outlets. And yet we have a ton of support. So they have been coordinating efforts in how to further meet the needs of families. Mr. Irving and I can vouch for how we just used our social worker in a way that we've not used our social worker before in a scenario to help a family in a crisis in a way that we've never done before, trying to think outside the box. Our counseling groups, we have been able to have more of them, and they have been important. The grief due to everything and anything. Some COVID. We've lost a lot of parents this year and over the summer to many different things, like we've never lost before. And there are so many world factors that contribute to that. These counseling groups are so necessary. I feel that we are gifted in the middle school with the social emotional support that we have. We are well staffed, and I appreciate it, and I know our students do, and yet they're still running around every day trying to meet the needs. We continue our upstander character education program, and then these other things are things we continue to have. They are not additional, like the first couple of things I shared, but they are ways that we are trying to meet the needs of students. We have Tier 2 supports, our Bridges class, ATM, and CAS. These are ways. Bridges is a program a class we have for 8th graders. We run 2 sections. It's taught by a health teacher, and it focuses on social emotional learning. It's about getting the student in the right spot to even make it through the day. Sometimes kids only come for that class. ATM is achievement through motion or movement. That is a phys ed class, in addition to the regular PE. And in that class, they focus on students setting goals. And these are kids who want to be there. These are kids that social emotionally are impacted because of their physical fitness. And they want this. To see the kids in this class be excited to go to gym is amazing. That's what ATM does. And CAS is a program that really focuses, it's a general ed and a special ed program. It's offered to both of our students here at the middle school. And it focuses on kids who really struggle with communication in terms of socializing with their peers and really reading cues on what's acceptable and what's not. That has blossomed. Our kids who go through it have been successful because we pair it with a special ed teacher, we pair it with a general ed social studies teacher, and we pair it with what you might call like a support group, that means a skill group, that means outside, meets during the day, but another class. What they learn in skills is reinforced in their social studies class. So they are learning to communicate. These things have become more and more important after COVID. We've had to do this. We've had to have these, and we were very fortunate that these were in place for our students. And then, it's last, but it's not least, our extracurricular activities, the fact that we can still have them, the fact that Matt Campbell has done everything possible to be able to get us buses here to the middle school has been huge, because I know how hard it is. And we can offer our clubs and our modified sports, and those matter to kids. The excitement that our kids had, our attendance in clubs is up, because for a year and a half, they didn't feel like they belonged. And now they can belong. So when I think about what we've learned, the best part of teaching is that it matters. The hardest part is that every moment, every day matters. And the most powerful part, the part that we are really learning, is that people matter more than anything else. So that's what we have been focusing on this fall as we are trying to come back from COVID. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you.
Good job.
Any questions, or are we good?
I think we're good.
Great job.
Great job. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's like a 2-second pause.
I had to turn it on. Good evening, Board of Education and Mr. Daly. I'm here to give you a quick update on the budget. So the budget season has started. In October, the buildings and departments began the budgeting process, and this is all outlined in our budget calendar that the board approved. December 17th, the non-staffing budgets were due to the business office, and so that date has passed, and all of the departments have turned their budgets in, and all the buildings have turned their budgets in. I want to give a big thank you to department heads, building principals, and all of their staff for all of the hard work they have done thus far to get their budgets into the business office. It has been very seamless and easy this year, and everybody has worked really hard, and so we appreciate that. Then moving on, by December 25th, we should have hammered out most of the details relating to the material supplies, equipment, those types of things that have come through requests. Now, by January 25th, that doesn't mean we know for sure what we're planning to present to the board as an expenditure budget, but what we will know is what the requests are. Until we get revenue forecasting from the state and we know what our tax cap is going to be, we don't really know exactly what our budget is going to be by January 25th, but we have a good idea of what all the requests are. After that, we go into non-staffing budget finalization, and then that tax levy limit calculation is due. By March 1st, we hope to have estimating staffing budgets finalized, and by May 3rd, we would have the budget hearing with the annual vote being at 17th. So just real briefly, I want to go over a couple budgeting assumptions. State aid is one of our two main revenue sources. From what we're hearing currently through the New York State Association of School Business Officials, we've done some analysis on the potential funding that's available to schools, and based on all the reporting from last year and where districts shake out compared to each other, potentially we could see a $1.8 million increase in foundation aid, which would be very good for the district because we are going to have some considerable cost increases in terms of salaries and benefits, which I'll go over in a minute. Federal aid, we have a separate fund valued at approximately $3 million for next year. So remember, we're getting those CARES Act funding monies through the CARISA and ARP acts. And so we will see this revenue source coming in that will help us balance our budget. The real challenge there is that anything that we add to our budget could be something that in 3 years when the funding goes away, if we don't have any funding to fill that hole, we may need to make reductions in those areas. Local taxation is still to be determined. At this point, in determining the tax cap calculation, we're just collecting information now. So we need to have information on our debt service schedule for next year, our bus purchases for next year, and so those are things that we're currently working on. And then sales tax from Monroe County, another major revenue, appears to be stable in the last quarter. Over the prior year, we did see a decent increase, and so we're hoping that going into next year, forecast for sales tax will remain stable or on the rise. So just some more budget assumptions for estimated expenditures. The department and building level budgets, we ask that they be same or similar to prior year. That we continue with a modified zero-based budgeting practice where we start from nothing and we build a budget based on our needs, our specific needs within the district. Again, no increase over prior year, although we are looking very closely at some target areas that align with our district mission goals. So we are looking at some areas where maybe we can improve instruction for kids. Budget assumptions, estimated expenditures. So salaries, this is just an average of 3% across the board. We have made some decisions relating to salary increases for non-instructional staff, and so those will be factored into next year's budget. Additionally, pension costs, those are on the rise as a percentage of salaries. So the teacher retirement system and the employee retirement system, we pay as a district a portion into these systems every year, and the rates are set by the retirement systems themselves. And so, as you can see, when we say 10 to 10.5, it's really just a percentage of salary. So in this fiscal year we're in now, we're paying 10% of teacher salaries towards the teacher retirement system. Next year, based on those salaries, we're going to pay 10.5%. Same for the employee retirement system, going up from 8% of salaries that we pay this year. Next year, it will be 12.9%. Employee benefit costs, health insurance is going up 8%, dental insurance 4%, and vision 2%, which, although still a decent number, is lower than community-rated plans because we're in a consortium, so we have some significant buying power. One thing to note of importance on this slide is that salaries and benefits comprise over 66% of our budget, so about 2/3. So the next thing I want to talk about briefly, we've kind of wrapped up revenues and expenditures and some estimates that will drive our budget, is budget ambassadors. If interested, we ask that community members who are interested go to that link by January 5th at 5 p.m. and sign up. And we'll have 3 days. We'll have 2 days and a potential third if needed on April 6th, where we'll go over in great detail expenditures and revenues relating to our budget proposal. And that's it. So there's a link for community members to ask questions. Did you have any questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Educational Foundation update.
I can do it. We met, they have 2 fundraisers coming up to fund the scholarships. The first being Saturday, January 8th at Chipotle from 4 to 8, anything purchased. They mentioned the Education Foundation against Child, they will get with the foundation will get a portion of that. And then the world famous Washington Wizards, not Washington Wizards, Harlem Wizards, being needed at the Washington Wizards game. And again, I apologize for misspeaking and saying the NBA is coming. The Harlem Wizards will be here the first Friday in March to play our outstanding faculty and staff as another fundraiser for the foundation. That's about it.
Thank you very much for the Education Foundation update. Questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, moving on. Moving on to motion to approve consensus agenda. Motion, please. Mr. Long, Ms. Kais, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. The consensus agenda is approved. Motion to approve consensus items B through G. Motion, please. Dr. Richards, Mr. Long, questions or comments? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Ms. Parado.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, President Kensky, Superintendent Daly, and members of the Board of Education. Tonight is a special night. It is always my honor to acknowledge our retirees as their retirement letters are accepted by the Board of Education. It is especially my honor this evening to be able to present to you 3 distinguished retirees. And I'm happy that all 3 of them are here as well. So tonight, you have just accepted the retirements of Mrs. Demelia, Mr. Hens, and Mrs. McGill. Together, these 3 outstanding administrators have served our district for nearly 60 years. I think it's fitting that the board is accepting all 3 retirement letters at the same time. These 3 individuals have served as truly foundational building leaders for our youngest learners. They have been pivotal in the successes we have achieved as a district. They've set our students up for success and their staff. In my time with the district, I've seen them rely on each other, learn from each other, and even on a rare occasion disagree with each other. But they always get through it. Elaine, Peter, and Lisa, we thank you. And we acknowledge that you will all leave a lasting and enduring legacy. And there's some big shoes to fill for all 3 of you. And we look forward to getting to spend a few more months with all of you and getting to celebrate more in the months to come as well. So we wish you a happy and healthy retirement.
Just want to put a plug in there. If you're going anywhere on, some retirement vacation, the board is more than willing to go with you. I think, yes? Okay. Just wanted to put a plug in for that. Moving on. APPR certification. Motion to approve Mitchell Ball, who has completed the APPR training for lead evaluators of teachers conducted by Monroe 2, Orleans BOCES on September 27th, 28th, and October 7th, and November 10th, 2021. Motion, please. Ms. Kais and Ms. Coffey, questions or comments? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Moving on to superintendent comments.
Well, we received very good news this week. Our district has been selected as one of 8 schools in the Monroe County region to participate in the first round of the University of Rochester supporting our students. For this federally sponsored project, district teams will benefit from expert training and support from community experts and colleagues across Monroe County. It will build capacity to offer youth mental health first aid in our district and community, and will receive priority access to needed services, tools, and resources. Big credit goes to Assistant Superintendent DeJong for coordinating this and applying And getting accepted into this is huge, especially knowing how much help we need in mental health for our students and staff. Neil Armstrong had a big start to the week with Mrs. Scott starting her week as a new principal at Neil Armstrong. We were there to capture the beginning of it, and she already is saving children as one fell down the steps off the bus to start the day, and she was there to catch him. Very appropriate. And kid was safe, and so was Mrs. Scott. And she's had a great time getting started, and we look forward to seeing the great things that she'll be doing there. At Florence Brasser, we had Dick Stutzman start as an interim AP. He has shared with us that he loves Brasser already, and Mr. Young is really great. And he's been having a lot of fun getting to know the kids and staff. Last night, Dr. Irving and our famous yellow coats coordinated the free COVID test give out. We gave out over 2,900 kits to families last night. Additional kits are still available in school main offices for those that were not able to attend. But again, out of the 3,900 we were given, they were able to get those to families last night, which is great. We are pleading with families to consider to become vaccinated if they have not already. On a meeting today with the Monroe County Health Department, we're informed that Omicron has overtaken all other strains in an extremely short time. Again, we beg you over the holidays to mask, wash your hands, and please be careful. We're very proud right now in our district of our staff and students. Each building has adopted individuals and entire families to provide holiday gifts and food supplies that will be given this week. We are impacting well over 150 people by this outpouring of generosity. And again, it's a great example of the Spartan way and our values in taking care of our community. Last Friday, we, along with the other districts across the country, weathered the latest TikTok challenge, which was alleged shooting threats and bombings. Unfortunately, it affected attendance in our buildings, especially at the secondary level, as they were down. But what was inspiring was the way our students that did show and staff that were here to take care of them during this tense time really was remarkable. Throughout the night, we had a lot of parents reaching out to not just us, but the police department to make sure we were aware. And again, as I've said previously to the board, social media is a blessing and a curse. But once again, the Gates Police Department and the Monroe County Sheriff were amazing as usual to respond to the presence at all our schools on Friday to help our kids and our staff and our families feel safe. And our school staff just did a great job of keeping as normal as possible on this unique day. To celebrate again, our athletic department, our scholar athletes for the fall of 2021. Our student athletes rocked it this fall. The following teams earned New York State Public High School Athletics Association Scholar Athlete Distinction. All of them. Not just one, not just two, all of them. So to get this award, they have to be the top 75% of the roster and award it to teams with a 90% average or higher. All 13 teams made it. Out of our 167 fall athletes, 104 had a 90 or better average. Truly exemplifying student athletes. I believe, as Dr. Irving would say, that's building a championship culture. So I had the privilege to be on a panel last Monday that was recorded and then what was broadcast last Thursday, discussing vaccinations of COVID-19 with Dr. Mendoza, Dr. Cook, and Fairport Superintendent Brett Provenzano. You can be seen at the Act for Education website, but to have two people in the public office that are running our efforts to curb COVID, Dr. Mendoza and Dr. Cook have been invaluable for districts and keeping us informed to allow us to do everything we can to keep our schools open, knowing that schools right now are the safest environment for stopping the spread in our community. For those of you that read your NYSBA magazine that just came out, the onboard newsletter, if you opened up to the centerfold, there we were. We were recognized again for outstanding communications for the bit of budget with Dr. Ball. Video series. So again, Gates Child being recognized for leading the way. Today, the New York State Education Department talked about how COVID's impacting us yet again by announcing that there will be no January regents in 2022. So the mid-year regents are no longer going to be available based on that. To go along with what Assistant Superintendent Corrado had to share, congratulations to Elaine, Peter, and Lisa on the announcement of your retirements. Your impact on all our Spartans is felt now and well into the future with all those lives you've touched in your nearly 60 years combined. Principals make a huge sacrifice taking care of everybody else's kids and putting them first, and then also taking care of their staff and the families that come in, and being elementary principals, giving their first experience with public education. All three of you have made Gates Child better by your leadership, so thank you. Today is one of the better days at the high school for the administration building. Today is Junior Achievement Pizza Contest. Mr. Marco's Junior Achievement class creates pizzas in a contest sponsored by Mark's Pizzeria. His seniors design pizzas and create different kinds to compete against each other, and then they determine success by the most revenue and highest profit. We have a short video clip to share with you to see some of the neat things they came up with, that the winners have a shot at making marks.
It is blessed. Once you take a bite, you see it better than the rest.
Eeny, miny, dough. If you're hungry, let us know. Want to stay or take to go? Eeny, meeny, miny, dough.
So the Bussin' BBQ was the winner of one of the two classes, and it was good. And apparently our kids love putting barbecue sauce on pizza. So there are quite a few, but it was amazing to see the contributions the kids made together as a team. What you saw at the beginning, they advertised in class each of theirs. Some of the kids sang, some kids rapped, did poem. Others just got up and said, well, this is what I did. But going in, they had all these different kinds, and then you were given Mark's Bucks to go and purchase it based on what they set the price point at for theirs. And it was just neat to see them all work together, use a real-world application. Again, our graduate who is running Mark's went in this morning at the crack of dawn and made all those pizzas based on their specifications and brought it for them to do. And we were more than willing to try it multiple times. So it was very good. We had nap time after that before going over to the transportation center where they had their holiday feast of turkey and ham, which led to yet another nap time. But it was just an amazing day here in the district. We did no. There were no samples left. It was well taken care of.
Superintendent evaluation.
Well fed and rested. So we want to wish a happy holidays to all our Spartans. I hope all our students, staff, community get a chance to enjoy time with their loved ones over this holiday break. Be grateful for all that you have, and be thankful for a community that supports and lives the Spartan way. We'll see you all next year. That is my report, sir.
Thank you very much. Mr. Irving, Dr. Irving, Do you have any extra treadmill time available for staff after today's events?
Community use is open right now. Go right in.
All right. With that, we have no need for executive session. Motion to adjourn. Ms. Who are you? Ms. Richards and Mr. Long, all in favor? Vote is unanimous. We are adjourned. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.